Hi, this is Jen, and thanks for joining me for my second design team project for the month of February for the Not2Shabby Shop. I am using the stamp set Let's Stick Together, I believe is what it's called. Let's Stick Together. Yes, that's what it is, by My Favorite Things. And I have created 2 cards for this set. I will be using Bristol Smooth Cardstock, the stamp set, a woodware or slash creative expression stencil, and then WENDY VECCHI inks in prickly pear, leaf green, and fern green. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the stencil and tape that to my Bristol Smooth cardstock. And then I'm going to go from the darkest color in the middle out to the lightest on the outside. So the first color I'm using is fern green, and I'm just using my blending brush. And then I'll go ahead and take the leaf green as the second color. And then the last color that I blend out is the prickly pear, I believe is what it's called. And I'm just covering a small area, or not really a small area, but just a little area, not over the entire card panel. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this golden regular gel. This is a matte gel, and I've gone ahead and taken a piece of palette paper and my palette knife and spread a little bit of that gel onto that. And then I'm going to color that with a ELINDYS magical shaker in Linderhausen Laurel, I think is how you say it. And I go ahead and add that and then mix it up, and it was a little bit too dark, so I grabbed a little bit more of the gel from the container and spread that out and lightened it up. And actually when I was spreading this, I wasn't too sure about the color, but once it dries, it lightens up a little bit and it looks a little bit better than what it does right now. It looks kind of crazy, I think, right now, but it lightens up and it looks way better. So that was the first panel. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the second panel before I assemble the card. So for the second panel, I am again using the Bristol Smooth cardstock and the same stencil that I used for the first card. And the distress oxides that I'm using are Seedless Preserves and Black Soot. And I'm going to again take my blending brush. So I'm just going to go ahead and just blend the one color over the card panel. And as is usually the case when I'm making cards, I have an idea of what I want to do, but it's not a total step-by-step plan. And so I knew I wanted it to be a soft edge, and so that's why I blended it out, not all the way to the top of the card or not covering the entire card panel. And then I just wanted a soft edge. So once I've got that Seedless Preserves blended as dark as I wanted, I'm going to go ahead and take the Black Soot and my blending brush again, and I'm just going to go over the panel, not going over the edge of the stencil, but kind of trying to get that soft edge again between where the colors meet, between where the Seedless Preserves and the Black Soot meet. And next I'm just taking a paintbrush to make some splatters on my card. And then I'll go ahead and take a paper towel and lift the ink where the water splattered. And then next I'm going to stamp up one of the images. So I'm stamping up in VersaFine, and I've already created a mask. I didn't create a sticky mask, I just created a paper mask because it is just one small little pot, and I just needed it in that area so I could get the cactus in the pot. And I guess I didn't even need to create a mask, but just to be cautious, I went ahead and did that. And I went ahead and stamped this up on Bristol Smooth cardstock, and then I'm going to color with my Zig Clean Color brush markers. And the colors I'm using are light pink and pale pink. And I'm just putting a little bit of color down at the top and the bottom, and then taking my watercolor brush and blending that down the image. And I found that generally when you have a lighter color like these colors, it might take a little bit more water than if you had like a dark blue or something like that. Usually a darker color, you don't need as much ink from the marker, and then you don't need as much water from your brush to get that color to spread, just because the darker colors are more pigmented than the lighter colors, and you don't need as much water when you're working with those darker colors. And even so, even for this lighter color, I'm not using that much water. I'm just dipping the end of my brush into the water. And sometimes I wipe it off a little bit on a paper towel. Sometimes I just tap it on the edge. But really, it's not a ton of water. And you'll see me also, I'll grab the end of the brush and kind of twist it to make the brush come to a point, so it's a little bit easier to color. And I'm using a size 1 brush for this. And then I tried to take this heart stencil and color through the stencil with the marker. Did not really work, so I went ahead and just colored the whole pot. I believe it's Carmine is the color. And now I'm going to go ahead and assemble the cards. So I'm taking that kind of pink and black background, and I have taken a die from my stash that's like a speech bubble almost, and I have taken the sentiment "Let's Stick Together," and I've used my VERSAMARK ink, and I am embossing that with some WENDY VECCHI embossing powder in leaf green. And then I decided that I wanted a frame around the card or the panel, and so I went ahead and I took this diagonal stitch. It was kind of hard to cut through several pieces of paper, so I had to go ahead and I took this, it's a slice tool, it's a ceramic cutter, which I really love, and so I just went around the edge and trimmed off the areas that didn't cut all the way. Excuse me. And then I'm going to take the panel, and I've used my liquid adhesive to go ahead and cover the back of that card panel and adhered that to my card base. And then the 2 black pieces of paper that go on the top and the bottom, I've just used some foam tape on the back of those to pop that up. And then when I adhered this cactus, I had the paper tilted, so the cactus is crooked. I could not get it off without ruining it, so I had to just leave it. So there is the cactus. Yeah. For the second panel, I had some leftover pieces from the first cards that I created that I didn't end up using. So the cactus with the hat and this kind of sentiment strip or fishtail strip I had from the first set of cards that I created a couple of weeks ago. And so I'm just going to go ahead and use those on this card since the color palette matches perfectly. So I went ahead and I took that strip and adhered it, and then I took this green piece of cardstock and adhered that as well. And then around the edge of that green circle, I am using this die, I believe it's Paper Smooches, and it's called Flaunters. So I'm just going to adhere that, and then I'll take the cactus image and pop him up with a piece of foam tape. And then I add a few sequins, and that will finish off this card and finish off my projects for the month of February for the Not2Shabby Shop. Please go ahead and check out the links below if you're interested in this stamp set or any of the other products that were used in creating these cards. And check out Jamie's shop. You can get 10% off using the coupon code on your screen. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video or found it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.